Hello, friends. Welcome to Trivia Over Tea, the quiz show podcast where we drink tea and play trivia. I am your host, Matthew Cook, and I'm here virtually once again with our scorekeeper, Carter Zenke. Carter, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Got some water, drank some tea earlier. I'm all hydrated.
Fantastic. Well, let's meet this week's contestants, returning for their second. Well, I guess Matthew's been on a few times, but Lucas will be on for the second time today. But we have the Hauser twins once again. First, we have Matthew.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be on Trivia Over Tea again. And I hope to improve my record.
Very good. Well, thank you for coming back once again. And we also have Lucas.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back on. The first time didn't go so well, so we'll see if we get a different result today. I think I'm ready because I am currently holding 2 water bottles, each with its own Trivia Over Tea sticker on it. So I don't know if there's any way I can lose at this point.
No, you've got all the good karma on your side today. Thank you for displaying those stickers for us, Lucas. And thank you for being here as always. As with all of our regular episodes, we'll have 4 rounds of questions today, each with a slightly different format. And so without further ado, Carter will explain the rules for round 1.
Round 1 is our first general knowledge round, where they each get 5 multiple choice questions. Questions here are worth 10 points each. If you get the right answer, you'll get those 10 points.
Alrighty, Matthew, you're up first. Are you ready?
As always, I'm ready for the next round of Family Feud.
Fantastic. Here we go. Question 1. Which team has won the most Rose Bowl games? A, Michigan, B, Ohio State, or C, USC?
Ooh, that's a good question. I I wish the answer was Michigan, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm going to say that it's OSU.
It was actually USC. The Trojans have won 25 Rose Bowls, although none recently. Ohio State is second with 9, and Michigan third with 8. And I will say, fight on. Question 2. What infamous Pop Tropica island was so notoriously confusing that the game had to eventually add in an in-game guide in order to help players find their way through the island? A, Astronites, B, Counterfeit, or C, Steamworks?
I was more of a Club Penguin guy myself back in like 2008, but I'm gonna go with B.
It was actually A, Astronites. And then what Mason wrote was, let the record show that the writer of this question, Mason Cook, completed Astronites years before the guide was implemented.
Of course.
So,
We're very proud of him.
yeah. I'm job, Mason.
But I was a secret agent in Club Penguin, so I think I'm on the same level as him.
Oh, we have a celebrity among us. I did not realize that. Wow.
Yeah, I'm expecting my star in Hollywood any day now.
I'll go to your ceremony. It's not far from me. At any rate, question 3. How large is an average human vocal fold? A, 1.2 to 2.4 centimeters, B, 2 to 3 centimeters, or C, 2.6 to 3.4 centimeters?
I'm thinking of my throat right now and like just what's vibrating when I talk. I'm going to say it is C.
No, they're actually really small, 1.2 to 2.4 centimeters. It was A. And men's folds are on average larger than women's vocal folds. But yeah,
Interesting.
very small.
Right, then I'm out.
Question 4. The Queen Charlotte Islands and eastern Greenland subspecies are extinct varieties of what North American mammals known for their long antlers? A, moose, B, caribou, or C, lynx?
Antlers. Well, that's either caribou or what was the first one? Moose.
Moose.
And it's extinct. I'm going to say caribou.
That is correct. Yes. And finally, question 5. What South American city's airport is named for Simón Bolívar? A, Bogota, B, Caracas, or C, Quito?
This is so unfair. Cities. I'm I'm going to say Caracas.
That is correct. It is the largest airport in Venezuela. Alrighty. Lucas, are you ready for your 5 questions?
As I said before, I'm as ready as I'm gonna be.
Alrighty. Question 1. The Christ the Redeemer statue looms over what South American city? A, Lima, B, Rio de Janeiro, or C, Buenos Aires?
That would be Rio.
That is correct. It was dedicated in 1931. Question 2. Which of the following quarterbacks did not win the Heisman Trophy in college? A, Carson Palmer, B, Sam Bradford, or C, Tua Tagovailoa?
The answer for that one would be Tua. I don't think Tua ever won the Heisman Trophy.
That is correct. Carson Palmer won in 2002 and Sam Bradford won in 2008. Question 3. In Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal, what did the author satirically suggest to the impoverished people in Ireland in order to get out of poverty? A, that they invade England and sell the king to France. B, that they throw all their resources into baking cakes. Or C, that they sell their children to starving nobles.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I really don't know the answer, but I like the approaches of each of these. I think they're really valuable insights into how we can fix world's economic problems. Let's go with sell the king to France.
No, it's actually C, that they sell their children to starving nobles. The essay was meant to satirize the often patronizing suggestions and proposals that those outside of Ireland would give to the Irish to solve their problems. That was a Mason question. I have not
Yeah.
read Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal. Question 4. Which of the following cartilaginous structures closes over the top of the trachea to direct food to the esophagus? A, the epiglottis, B, the thyroarytenoid, or C, the hyoid?
Okay. So above the trachea, we're talking throat here. The only thing, the other words meant absolutely nothing to me, but one of them sounded kind of like thyroid, and I know that's in your throat neck area, so that's what I'm gonna go with.
Actually, it was the epiglottis.
Okay.
The thyroarytenoid is actually a muscle, and it constitutes about 90% of your vocal fold. And the hyoid is a bone. It is the only bone in the larynx. So, as I've said the last couple of episodes, I'm currently taking a class called vocology, in which I'm learning about how the voice works and how singing is a whole body experience. And so I'm finally able to write some biology questions because now I know about some stuff that goes on in the body. So I'm taking full advantage of that. It's also a way for me to study. So
No,
there you
absolutely,
go.
as you should.
Working its way in here.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, question 5. In 1859, San Francisco businessman Joshua Norton declared himself what? A, Lord Protector of San Francisco, B, Guardian of Mankind, or C, Emperor of the United States?
Ooh, these are all amazing titles. Let's go Emperor of the United States.
That is correct. Despite having
Let's go.
Despite having no actual power, Emperor Norton, as he was called, was treated deferentially by the citizens of San Francisco, and there was even currency issued with his picture on it. His place in obscure San Francisco popular culture surfaces from time to time, including in several attempts to rename the San Francisco Bay Bridge after him. So
Amazing. That's amazing.
this is one of my new favorite historical figures. I had no idea that this person existed until about 2 days ago. So, yeah, Emperor Norton, everybody.
Got to do a deep dive on Google on that one.
Yeah, yeah, he's quite an interesting figure. He issued a decree in 1859 in which he dissolved Congress. So, yeah, apparently word hasn't reached them yet. But at any rate, that's the end of round 1.
Scared.
So Carter, can you please give us a score update?
We have Matthew at 20 and Lucas at 30.
Alrighty, and now it is time for round 2. So Carter, can you please tell us the rules?
Yes, in round 2, you will each get 5 open-ended questions, each on the same topic. Questions here are worth 20 points each. If you get one wrong, your opponent can answer for 10 points.
Alrighty. So before we started recording, I told Matthew and Lucas that I thought they would like the category that I chose for them for round 2. As frequent listeners to this podcast will know, anytime a presidential birthday arises, I always try to write questions about that president. And October 12th, the date that this podcast is being released, is not actually a president's birthday, but October 5th, the previous Wednesday, is. And of course, we are doing episodes every other week right now. So I thought, well, we can just save him for this week. And that president, of course, is Chester Alan Arthur, who was born October 5th, 1829, died November 18th, 1886. So you both are going to get 5 questions about Chester Alan Arthur. Matthew, are you ready?
I'm so excited, but I'd like to say before these questions begin, I'm going to invoke my good luck charm, which is my Trivia Over Tea sticker on my laptop, which you can't see right now, but I would like to note that one sticker on one laptop is more expensive than 2 stickers on 2 water bottles.
Duly noted. The record shall so reflect. Thank you for that. Alrighty, here we go. Question 1. Before switching to the Republican Party, Arthur was a member of what political party that was represented in the White House by President Zachary Taylor, among others?
Oh, that would be the Whig Party.
That is correct. He switched to the Republican Party in 1854. Question 2. After being admitted to the bar, he joined a law firm in what city that would be his residence for the rest of his life?
Was he from I feel like Arthur was from Ohio for some reason, or Pennsylvania.
They all
But
were at that time.
Yeah. So among those cities, his law firm, I'm gonna go with we'll go with Cleveland.
No, not Cleveland. Lucas?
Let me just guess New York City.
It was New York City, yep. The Chester A. Arthur home is located at 123 Lexington Avenue in the Rose Hill neighborhood of Manhattan. The first 2 floors of the townhouse is now Calustian's, a Middle Eastern and Indian grocery store. So there you go. Question 3. Arthur suddenly became president following the assassination of what president in 1881?
That would be James Garfield.
That is correct. President Garfield was shot by Charles Guiteau at the Baltimore and Potomac Railroad Station in Washington, D.C. on July 2nd, 1881, though he did not die until September 19th. While Garfield still lived, there were lingering questions about who could exercise presidential authority, and Arthur refused to travel to D.C. throughout the summer. Especially toward the end, there was no authority from the executive branch. But the question of who has authority was clarified in the 25th Amendment nearly a century later. Question 4. Who was the only member of Garfield's cabinet who remained through the entirety of Arthur's term? It's somebody you've heard of. And this is one of my new favorite pieces of trivia.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a Republican administration. I'm trying to think of Republicans I've heard of from that time. There's McKinley, there's Theodore Roosevelt, there's Taft. I'm going who remained the entire time. I thought Roosevelt at that time was in New York politics, though I could be wrong. I'm going to say it was McKinley.
Not McKinley. Lucas?
Was it, I remember William Tecumseh Sherman either in the 1870s or 1880s came back as Secretary of War or Secretary of the Army. Was he the one who survived both presidencies?
Well, you got the cabinet position correct. It was Secretary of War, but this was actually Robert Todd Lincoln, the only surviving child of Abraham and Mary Todd Lincoln. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Garfield and Arthur came from different factions of the Republican Party, and all the rest of the cabinet resigned within 7 months of Garfield's death. So there you go. And finally, question 5. In 1882, Arthur signed the Edmunds Act into law, which made what practice, popular among members of the LDS Church, a felony?
Would this be polygamy?
That is correct. It also made it illegal for polygamists to vote, hold public office, or serve on federal juries. Alrighty, Lucas, are you ready for your 5 questions?
Yep, let's hear them. I
Okay.
don't know how many more trivia facts I know about Chester A. Arthur, but we'll find out.
Well, you know, I learned a lot about Chester Arthur this week because I did not know a lot about Chester Arthur. And it was a bit of a stretch to come up with 10, I will say that. But somehow we managed to do it. Anyway, here we go. Question 1. As a student supporting Henry Clay, Arthur participated in a brawl against supporters of what 1844 Democratic nominee who ended up winning the election?
That would be James K. Polk, who
That
won
is
the 1844 election.
That is correct. Yes. Question 2. Arthur attended Union College, a private liberal arts institution located in what city close to Albany?
In Union College near Albany. Would that be, I don't know my New York geography that well. I know near Albany, I don't think Poughkeepsie is that close to Albany, but that's what I'm going to go with. Oh,
It's not.
wait, is it Troy?
No,
I'm wrong anyways.
yeah. Either way, you're wrong. Matthew, do you know?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Arthur attended Union College, a private liberal arts institution located in what city close to Albany?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. Would this be no, would it be, I'm just gonna say Rochester, but I know that's not right.
No, yeah, that's clear across on the other side of the state. This is Schenectady, New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to pronounce it.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, Schenectady. Arthur's family lived in and around the Schenectady area for much of his childhood. Question 3. As a young lawyer, Arthur was a lead attorney on a case that resulted in the desegregation of what method of transportation in New York City? And I'll say this was in 1854.
1854.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're desegregating in 1854, it's likely not going to be subway, or rail or bus. What kind of public transportation would you have in 1854? Would it be a streetcar?
It would be a streetcar, yep. In 1854, he represented Elizabeth Jennings Graham, who was denied a seat on a streetcar because she was black. Question 4. What was the first elected position that Arthur held? This was another really interesting fact, I thought.
First elected position. I know he's, we've established that he's from New York, but I don't know if he held statewide office in New York because at that time New York was run by the Democratic Party and the machine down in New York City. I know this because I read a book about Teddy Roosevelt, and that was kind of a problem for him. But let's see. I know he was president. I know he was vice president. I don't know if he did anything before then, so let's just say vice president.
That is correct. Vice president was the first elected position he ever held. Before his election in 1880, Arthur worked his way through the ranks of the Republican Party by way of political appointments, most notably as collector of the Port of New York.
Oh, that was a good job to have. You got to control all the jobs back then.
Yep. And he made a lot of money as collector of the Port of New York, as I read this week, until they changed the way that the collector was paid. And then he was still making a lot of money for the 1870s, but was not nearly as much. Yeah, he was quite the political operative. That was really interesting to read about. And finally, question 5. One of the more significant pieces of legislation during Arthur's term was an act that banned immigration from what country for 10 years?
Was this the Chinese Exclusion Act?
Yep, that is correct. The Chinese Exclusion Act was signed by Arthur on May 6, 1882. The Burlingame Treaty of 1868 allowed for basically unrestricted immigration from China. Arthur signed the third attempt at passing the Chinese Exclusion Act. The previous two were vetoed by himself earlier in 1882 and by President Hayes in 1879. So that's the end of round 2. You guys did really well with the Chester Arthur questions, so I'm very happy about that. I think this is probably the official podcast for Chester Arthur trivia. I can't imagine there's any other trivia podcasts that have an entire
Take the
segment
mantle and
devoted
run
to
with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I embrace that. Carter, can you please give us a score update?
We have Matthew at 80 and Lucas at 120.
Alrighty, now it is time for round 3. So, Carter, can you please tell us the rules?
Yes, in round 3, you will again get 5 open-ended questions. Questions here on a variety of topics, and they're worth 30 points each. If you get one wrong, your opponent can answer for 15 points.
Alrighty, Matthew, are you ready?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, question 1. What interstate highway begins in downtown St. Louis and runs southwest to Tulsa and Oklahoma City?
Oh, this is Interstate 44.
That is correct, yes. Question 2. Which article of the U.S. Constitution contains the Supremacy Clause?
Ooh. As a reminder of the Supremacy Clause, is that the federal government stands above state laws.
Yes.
I feel like I don't think this was an amendment. I think it's in the Constitution itself. It could be Article 1 or something after that. I'm going to say Article 1.
No, not 1. Lucas?
Then would it be Article 2?
No, this is in Article 6, actually.
Article 6.
Yeah. Article 6, Section 2 states that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land and takes priority over state laws. Question 3. The cricothyroid muscle stretches the vocal folds in order to change the what of the phonated sound. So how is the sound changed?
Well, there's different terms I could use, and I don't know which would be right in terms of like sound science. But there's like, volume, pitch, tone. But I'm going to say pitch.
That is correct. The cricothyroid, or the CT muscle, as the kids call it, can be worked out through exercises so that one can stretch the folds further and increase one's range, which is obviously very important for singers. Question 4. The Yamhill district is the only one of the original 4 districts of what Northwestern state to still be completely within that state? This is a Mason question, if you couldn't tell.
What kind of district is that?
Frankly, not sure.
Like, this could be, anyway, this could be a lot of different, like, federal lands or a park, a business district. But we've got Northwest, so it's kind of a dart throw here. I'm going to say Montana.
Not Montana. Lucas?
I know the Oregon Territory was a large territory that was later carved up into a bunch of states and some of it sent to Canada. So I'm going to say Oregon.
That is correct. Yes,
Ooh.
very good. And finally, question 5. Sid Vicious was a rock bassist who was a member of what band?
Ooh, I have no idea what band he'd be a part of. So I'm going to say Black Sabbath.
No, not them. Lucas?
That was a good guess. Bassist, part of what band? I don't know. Let's just say Van Halen.
No, Sid Vicious was a part of the Sex Pistols.
Ooh.
Yeah. And he died of a drug overdose in 1979 at age 21. He was known for his self-destructive behavior. Yeah. And was also at one point charged with murdering his girlfriend at a party. Yeah, it was a complicated person. At any rate, Lucas, are you ready for your 5 questions as a giant helicopter goes over my house?
Yeah, let's do it. I sent that there to throw you off and give me
Oh,
some
thank
easier
you.
questions.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, that's really low.
It's all about this. It's the psychology of trivia over tea. That's really the key to success.
Trying to throw the questioner off his game. Clever. Okay. Well, here we go. Question 1. What interstate highway begins north of Birmingham, Alabama, and runs northwest through Tupelo, eventually terminating in the Mississippi suburbs of Memphis?
Ooh, northwest to Memphis from Birmingham, Alabama. Oh, this is embarrassing that I don't remember this one. Would this be Interstate 22?
It would be Interstate 22. Very good. Question 2. Hanna, Wyoming is the northernmost town located within the original boundaries of what other state, which used to claim a vast area in modern-day New Mexico, Colorado, and Wyoming?
That would be Texas, because Texas had a much, when it was annexed into the United States as a former independent country, it stretched way farther north and west than it does today.
That is correct. Yes. Question 3. The 24th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution abolished what?
Ooh, okay. Let me work through my amendments here. The 25th Amendment is presidential succession. Abolished what? So right around that time, you'd have the creation of term limits. What else could it abolish? What was abolished in the mid 20th century? I'm struggling and I'm embarrassed.
Or abolished or prohibited, maybe is
Let's
the
go with
better.
poll taxes.
It is, yep, poll taxes. Before the amendment's adoption in 1964, many states had levied poll taxes to prevent Black Americans and poor whites from voting. Question 4. Whose law explains that rapidly moving air exhibits less pressure than stable air?
I didn't take IB physics, so I don't have an answer to this one.
Okay. You don't want to throw a random name?
I'm going to say
Okay.
it's Murphy's Law.
Close. No, it's not Murphy's Law. This is Bernoulli's law. Yeah, and it's important for vocal folds because it creates a closing force that brings your vocal folds together. But it does not explain how they sustain oscillation. It only explains how they begin to oscillate. So there you go.
Interdisciplinary intersection of vocal studies. It's impressive.
No, truly, we're learning biology. We're learning physics. It's really quite a class, and neither of which I took in college. So this is a good review. Throwback
Right.
to Mr. Missencheck's biology class in 9th grade, all those many years ago. At any rate, finally, question 5. The 1861 Battle of Athens marked the only battle that directly affected the territory of what Midwestern state, as shots from the battle landed in the city of Croton on its southern border. I hope I'm pronouncing that city correctly. Croton.
Okay. This Midwestern state. I know there's an Athens, Ohio, so that's what I'm gonna go with.
No, not Ohio. Matthew?
Croton, Midwestern state. What conflict was this again?
So 1861 Battle of Athens marked the only battle that directly affected the territory of what Midwestern state?
This is interesting. There's a bunch of Athenses in the South too. This is probably a border state. Could it be Illinois?
You're closer. This was Iowa.
Oh,
Yeah, just a little further
Mhm.
west. So I guess nobody was fighting over Iowa in the Civil War. At any rate, that's the end of round 3. So Carter, can you please give us a score update?
We have Matthew at 140 and Lucas at 225.
Alrighty, now it is time for round 4. So Carter, can you please tell us the rules?
Round 4 is our showdown, where you'll each get the same 3 questions. Questions here are worth 40 points each, and we'll ask you to write down or otherwise make note of your answers so we can reveal them at the same time.
Very good. Alrighty. Matthew, Lucas, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Question 1. Which of King Henry VIII's 6 wives was the first to die?
Oh boy.
King Henry VIII is one of those like trivia gifts that keeps on giving because there are so many different ways that you can ask questions about his wives. And the funny thing is that a lot of people can name at least 2, if not more, of his wives. So you can use them on even people who don't know history sometimes. But anyway, yeah. Do we have any guesses, Matthew?
I don't know any of King Henry's wives,
Oh, okay.
so I would be like that era name for a woman. So I just said Mary.
Okay. Lucas?
My knowledge of English history is also insufficient, so this guess is truly a guess. I came to the same conclusion, nature and nurture working together. I wrote down Mary as well.
Oh, very good. Well, Mary was actually the daughter of King Henry VIII and this wife. And his first wife was, in fact, the first to die, even though she was not executed. Catherine of Aragon was his first wife. And she predeceased Anne Boleyn, who was executed by about 4 months. So there you go. Question 2. On Friday, the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C., announced that one of the paintings in its collection, Girl with a Flute, was not, as previously thought, painted by what 17th century Dutch master? Matthew, what is your guess?
I don't know very many Dutch people, and I feel bad saying that. If anyone here's listening to it in the Netherlands or just has a soft spot for the Dutch people, culture, and language, I apologize. But I know Van is often used in Dutch names, so I'm going with Van Gogh.
Okay. Yeah, not a bad guess. Lucas?
I also came up with Van Gogh, but temporally, I don't think he was a 17th century artist. So, but this again, the Dutch artist kind of threw me for a loop. So this is the best I could come up with was Vincent Van Gogh.
I think he may have been 19th century.
Yeah, I
Does
think
that
he
sound
was like
right? Yeah.
later 19th century.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't think I think there's about a 0% chance that I would have actually come up with the correct response. The only reason I wrote this question is because I got the New York Times alert. Yeah, Van Gogh was 19th century. Because I got the New York Times alert last night that it was a Vermeer that was not actually a Vermeer. Yeah. The Girl with the Flute looks strikingly similar to the painting Girl with the Red Hat, which is actually a Vermeer. The National Gallery used forensic technology to examine the brushstrokes in both paintings to determine that Girl with a Flute is just an imitation. And finally, question 3. At the time that he was nominated to be vice president, Gerald Ford held what congressional leadership position? Lucas, we'll start with you this time. What did you come up with?
I would say that Gerald Ford was the minority leader in the House of Representatives. I know the Democrats had a majority in the House at this point, and I think Ford was from the House.
Okay, Matthew.
I'm going to say he was the minority whip.
He was, in fact, the minority leader. Very good, Lucas, in the House. He had been minority leader since 1965 and had represented Michigan in the House since 1949. So,
Wow.
there you go. Well, that's the end of the game. So, Carter, can you please give us the final score?
We have Matthew at 140 and Lucas at 265.
Well, congratulations, Lucas. Your 2 Trivia Over Tea stickers have propelled you to victory today. Do you have anything that you would like to say?
You said it best. I really think the volume of Trivia Over Tea stickers that you acquire and then display on camera for all to see while you are a contestant on the show. I mean, if we're gonna do like some basic like algorithm building, run a regression or something like that, we could see like a clear, like deterministic linear relationship between, you know, the number of stickers and your success on Trivia Over Tea. So, you know, more than like the obscure knowledge I've acquired over the years that is doing me very little good, I think it's the fact that I had a couple of stickers that were visible to the camera that really pulled me through today.
Future contestants, take note. I couldn't have said it better myself. So make sure you display your Trivia Over Tea stickers when you're on the show. So, well, that was beautiful, Lucas. Thank you for that wonderful speech. Well, that's the end of our show for this week, folks. Thank you, Matthew and Lucas, for being on the show today, as well as Carter Zenke for being our scorekeeper, and Mason Cook for composing the music. Today's questions were written by Mason Cook and yours truly. And thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe to Trivia Over Tea on your preferred podcast platform and leave us a review if you enjoyed it. And check out our Facebook and Instagram pages at Trivia Over Tea, as well as our Twitter account also at Trivia Over Tea. And feel free to message us on any of these platforms if you have any comments or suggestions regarding the show. And tune in next week when we'll have 2 new, or not next week, in 2 weeks' time, when we'll have 2 new contestants and 33 more fantastic questions. So thank you. We'll see you in